Greetings, everyone. I hope you all doing well. Yeah, I'm back again with another episode of Sunday Market Outlook. So I hope you guys have been doing great and we had some lovely momentum in the market. So let's see if we can get some opportunities during this week. Then, so I'm gonna start off with the XY is always then for all over my primary pairs and my secondary pairs. Okay. So as you can see here on daily time frame. So what I'm looking for here, as you can see, price it around this key area here. So I'm waiting to see what is gonna be happening around this area on the coming week. As you can see, we form this double topple here and then we push to the downside, and price push all the way to the upside again to this area here. So what I'm looking for now to see if I'm gonna continue pushing to the downside and breaking this low like so. We should be forming this structure like so. As you can see, we're ascending toward this key level here at the top. Our price will be pushing all the way to the upside because you can see in pushing. So what are gonna be, as you can see, this is our high. So what is most likely to happen, whether we're gonna be pushing to these lows before we continue push to the upside, or we'll be moving correctively like so to the upside to form this structure here. You can see this structure here. So waiting to see if gonna be pushing all the way to the upside, then see what's gonna be happening around here, whether I'm gonna be forming something like this and then continue push to the upside, or gonna push then come all the way to the, or and then form something like so and then continue push to the downside. So these few scenarios that I'm looking for here, but all in all, waiting to see how price gonna be reacting toward this key area here. And go to 4 hour. You can see what's been happening here. So maybe we're gonna see some price action like so, and then push, so then come all the way and then push to the downside like so. So this will be a lovely structure formation. But then if you don't gonna get that, maybe form some corrective structure around this area and then push to the upside. So we'll be waiting to see if you're gonna come to these areas before we continue push to the upside. But when you look at the higher time frame, you can see still more to the downside. So waiting to see how price gonna react around these areas. See, so yeah, that's it for the DXY. So just gonna move over to my primary list pairs. So I'm gonna start off with Aussie USD. Start off from daily. So as you can see, you have a lovely push to the downside like so, and then push all the way to these areas in these highs here and then push. form this high. So what is happening here, you can see that it's like it's moving to the downside like so. So it's whether we're gonna be coming all the way to these areas, or we push to the upside, or we'll be pushing all the way to the downside to maybe to clear this low or to form a new low like so. So these few scenarios that I'm looking for here. So if we do on the DXY, if we continue push to the upside, then with more dollar related pairs will be pushing more to the downside. So just have to be neutral as always, and then see what happened, and then you take it from there. So when I look left, is also this area here. So as you can see, this is equal those little double bottom. So there's some liquidity around this area. So it's most likely that you can see maybe some price coming to these areas, clear these lows here before we commit to the upside. So just have to wait and see how price is gonna develop. So when you go to 4 hour here, I've marked this low because you can see what is happening here. So if we form some corrective structure like so, and then we push this area to form something like this. Because why I'm looking at this, because the higher time frame still looking more to the upside now, because you can see we form this low, push, breaking this high, and then you come all the way to these areas, and then we continue push to the upside, breaking this high. So what is happening now, I'm waiting to see if price gonna be coming to these areas here to test it before we push to the upside, or another scenario here, if you can see some structure like so, maybe to these areas here, then this will be a lovely play. As will be my first target will be this low here, and then if you break here, then maybe I'll be targeting this low as well. So there's more opportunities, or there's more scenarios that I'm looking for on this one as well. So we'll see how price gonna develop during the week. So as I mark this area, I'm waiting to see how price gonna react around or gonna develop around this key area here. So as you can see, after we push to the upside, breaking this high, so we push and then come back to this area to form this double top. So we fail to make a new high. So as you can see, price push all the way to the downside, broken this low. So now you can see we are on the downwards trend, but this is, I can say it, recall it, a bearish counter trend move, because you can see the higher time frame is still looking more to the upside. So after seeing this confirmation, so the only time that I'll be looking for downside move here, then maybe the price gonna come all the way to these key areas here, or even these areas here. So taking the sell off from me, targeting these lows here. So yeah, that's it for this pair. So what I can say overall is that, to summarize everything, that higher time frame is still looking bullish now. You can see after breaking this structure, we have a change in trend, and then the push to come to these areas, and then after the push to the upside. So forming this structure now. So we'll see whether we're gonna be continue pushing to the upside, or we're gonna reject from this area and then continue push to the upside. So focus area with this area here to see how price is going to be developing in the coming week. On my second pair on my primary list, it's Swiss JPY. So let's start off from daily. We have a lovely push to the upside. So what I can say, something I want to say, like before I continue with some analysis, like as you can see, you have a lovely bullish run. So most of the time, when price gonna push to the upside, it's most likely that you're gonna retrace or gonna form some new low before we push to the upside to form a new high. So as you can see here, push from this high here, and then price move correctively toward this low here, and then look what happened here. We push to the upside to form this new high, breaking this previous high. So what is happening now, you can see as price looking like it's the acceleration or this change of trend that is happening here, as you can see. So what I'm looking for on a week high is to see maybe a clear push to the downside to see, okay, there's a change of trend now after this impulsive move, and wait for some structure to forming here, and then see if I can get some opportunities maybe these areas here or even to this area before we have that push to the upside. So if that doesn't happen, then let's go to 4 hours so that I can show something clear here. There's these lows here, as you can see, there's these lows here. So there's some liquidity which is around this area. So it's most likely that price might come all the way to clear these lows before we continue push to the upside. So there's two scenarios. If we break here, then wait for some structure to develop before we take it to the downside. And another scenario, if we break here and then price pushes back around here, so we're gonna wait for some clear confirmation that, okay, we continue pushing to the upside. But we're gonna wait for some clear confirmation on the lower time frame, or you're gonna wait for a break of these highs and then wait for some retrace maybe to some key areas here before we take it to the upside. So but for me, I'm looking more on the downside here, as you can see, but only when we're breaking these lows here. Maybe I'll be targeting these areas here before we push to the upside. So this thing happened to pound yen as well. Like we're gonna see some huge move to the upside, and then we see some deep retrace to the downside before form a new high. So as you can see, we have this huge move to the upside. So there's a possibility that you can get some deep retracement before we continue push to the upside. So yeah, that's it for this pair. And my next one will be pound Swiss. I'm gonna start off from daily. You can see. Yeah, so what is happening here, you can see we have this lovely push to the upside, as you can see, and then price broke here, as you can see, and then form some structure here, push to the downside, and then you come all the way to this area to form another structure, and then you push to the downside now. So let's just go back to the weekly. When you look at the higher time frame, you can see that still moving more to the downside now. So I'll be focusing more on the downward opportunities. So what I'll be looking for here on this pair is two scenarios. Whether we're gonna be forming, as you can see, it looks like this it's a corrective structure that is forming here, or it's a correction that is forming here. So after this correction, they're gonna be pushing to the downside. Then if you get this move, then I'll wait and see if you're gonna get some structure which will be coming to these areas before we sell off. Or if you don't get the clear move, then we'll be waiting for some structure maybe toward these key areas here before we sell off. So I'm more looking for the downside move. You can show you on the high time frame that is still looking more to the downside, maybe until if we reach these areas here. To reach these areas here, you can see we have some equal lows here, so there's some liquidity that is around here, so it's most likely that price may move towards these areas before we see some change, like permanent change of trend or something. So we'll see how price gonna develop on this one. Next pair on my primary list, it's New Zealand dollar vs Swiss franc. So I've been tracking this one for a while now. As you can see, I'm just gonna go to the daily. As you can see, like we have this push from this low, push from this new high, and then look what happened. Price moved toward this new low. So what happened here after that? Price pushed to the upside, breaking this high. So what does it tell me? We have a change of trend or change of momentum. And then you push, come to these areas, and then you see you have another momentum to the upside, breaking this high. So what I'm looking for now to see if can build this gap maybe to these key areas here before we see some continuation to the upside. So and go to 4 hour, that is where it's more even clear, as you can see. So if this push, so now I'm waiting for some corrective structure maybe toward these areas before see some continuation to the outside. My first target will be this high, and then overall target will be this high here. So as you can see, been pushing nicely to the downside. So pushing nicely to the downside. So maybe price gonna form something like so, then push, then something like, and you see, okay, now pushing to the upside. So this one will be lovely play, entering around these areas here, plus below here, and maybe targeting this high here. And I have some decent percentage, and even if you can if you break this high here, this you can see lots of percentage that you're gonna make here. So just have to be patient, wait for the market to come to you, then see if you can get some opportunities. As you can see here as well, look how we form. See, so you can target this price action here, most similar to this one here. As you can see, we push, we form this corrective structure at this low, and you can see pushing now to this low. So as you can see here, we have this push, breaking this high, and then what happened next? Form this corrective structure toward this key level, and then we push the upside. So this is the kind of machine that I'm looking for on this trade, on this pair. So I'll be patiently waiting for this one and see when I get some continuation to the upside. But so far shaping nicely, as you can see. So we just need to be patient, guys. So yeah, we'll see how price gonna develop during the week. Then we're gonna take it from there. And my next pair on the primary list is New Zealand dollar vs Japanese yen. So gonna start off with this one is sorry. This one it's a I'm looking at a similar scenario like Swiss JPY. As you can see, you have this level push, broken this high here. So what I'm looking for now, just clear everything here. What I'm looking for now, as you can see, push, price failed to make a new high, and then now we're pushing to the downside. So if you're gonna get some structure around here, then I'll be taking it to the downside and be targeting these lows here before we continue push to the upside. As you can see, still more to the upside, but as you all know that market it's moving like so, as you can see, came to this low, now we form this high. So it's either we're going to be coming to this low or these lows. As you can see, there's some equals lows here, so there's a possibility that you can clear these lows before we continue push to the upside. So when you go to 4 hour, that is where everything is getting even more clear. So this is our high, or this is our range, as you can see. Sorry. So you can see we push like so, and then come all the way from some structure and then push to the downside. So now what I'm looking for is sort of some structure again here to see if you can get some opportunities to the downside. So if price happen that you're gonna break this high like so, then I'll waiting to see what's gonna be happening around these areas here, whether I'm gonna be pushing to the upside, clearing this high. Then I'll be waiting for some retracement around these areas before we continue push to the upside. Of which will be a nice structure like so, you can see. And you can see it will be coming from this impulsive move, corrective structure like so. Then you continue push to the upside. So just have to wait and be patient and always be neutral. And another thing, we always have to follow the trend. So that is where you're gonna able to to avoid maybe taking like counter trend that can be maybe making you taking like more losses, So yeah, we just have to wait and see how price gonna develop from here. Gonna push into the downside or wait for the clear confirmation, then wait for some retracement or some structure formation, then push the upside. And my last pair on my primary list is Kiwi dollar. So this one is looking similar with the Australian dollar with US dollar. As you can see, in pushing to the downside. And from this low we push, clearing these highs and then come all the way to this area and then we push to the upside. So what is happening here, you can see from a double top formation, as you can see here already is my rail line. So gotta be continuing pushing to the upside or be forming some structure around these areas take it to the downside, maybe to these lows, or even push even more downside. Because when you go on a weekly time frame, as you can see, we push from this low, we push from this low, and then we push from this low, and then what happen after that? We push from this high, and then price started to push to the downside. So since we're still on around this range, so it looks like price is ranging, but how it's ranging, it's moving on the bearish formation toward this key level. So there's a possibility that price might come to these areas like so before we see some huge momentum, now some continuation to the upside to clear this high like so. So it'll be continuation, like impulsive move, then corrective structure, and then continuation. So that is why I'm planning to see how price gonna develop here, whether gonna be pushing more to the upside, sorry, to the downside, or we're gonna be like retracing toward these areas and then continue push to the upside. So we'll see how price gonna develop from there. As you can see on the 4-hour, you have a nice double top formation, then you push to the downside like so. So what I'm looking for here is this high as well. So it looks like it's gonna form maybe some expanding structure like so here. See, maybe toward these areas, then see some sell off to the downside. The only time when I'll be changing my bias to the for our upward move is when we're gonna break these highs here, like moving passive like so, then push like so. So just have to wait for the price to show us hand, then take it from there. You can see. So moving over to my secondary list pair. So I'm gonna start off with JPY. So I'm just gonna clear everything here, as you can see. So what's happening here, you can see price push all the way to these highs here, and then we have this level push to the upside, and then push. Now price, you can see it's pushing to the downside. So I'm waiting for some structure around these areas. See if you can get some opportunities around these areas. So as you can see, let's go to weekly. So what is happening here, when you're looking at a higher time frame, you can see we're still more to the downside, even though we've been pushing to the upside like so. Because when you look at this, you can see form a low, form a high, and then form a new low. So price was moving corrective toward these key areas before we continue push to the downside. So that is why I'm saying that a higher time frame still looking more to the downside now, as you can see how price is forming around these areas here. So we'll see how price gonna develop from here. So if we do get some huge momentum to the upside, then we'll see that there's a change of scenarios, or for the change of momentum. Then we'll be waiting for some clear structure or confirmation, then we'll be pushing to the upside like so. So why I'm looking for the downside move, because of what's happening here, as you can see. we formed this high, and then price started to form a bearish structure, a bearish momentum, as you can see. And then what happened after that, we formed some structure toward this high, and then push to the downside, clean these lows. So now whether we're gonna be continuing pushing to the downside, it looks like bears are taking over the bulls. So it's gonna be waiting for clear structure around these areas for downward momentum. So my next pair on my secondary list is to get JPY. I'm gonna start off on daily. So this thing, guys, it's happening on most of the pairs. So you can see here, you have this structure here we form, and then you have a deep retracement to the downside, and then you see you have a huge momentum, and then what happened after we've broken these highs, you have a deep retracement again. So if you have something like this, we have this new high, so there's a possibility that price is going to be pushing toward these lows. So if you all know that, okay, like you all know we have this high now, so the only thing that you have to do is to wait for the clear confirmation. See, so then when you go to lower time frame, you can see here, after forming this high, what happened? Push from here, and then come on the way, and then come from here, and then you broken these lows here. That is the first sign. And then what happened after that, here you form this corrective structure, and then you broken it. Then, as you can see, first opportunities around here, you can see, then price came all the way to these areas like so. Another opportunity here to the downside like so, as you can see. But we are aware that higher time frame are still more bullish, and then we're taking a counter trend trade toward this low, because we know that market move like so, gonna form a higher high, form a higher low, then break the higher previous high, this one, and then form another higher, and then push to form a new low, something like that. So this is what is happening here. So if you follow the trend, that it's gonna be easy for you. So what is happening here as well, sorry, so what is happening here, as you can see, push, and then push to downside. Now we came all the way to these areas, and then now what is happening, so waiting to see if price is gonna come to these areas, then push to the downside like so. So just waiting to see how price is gonna develop around this area, and see if we're gonna be pushing to the downside, or there's gonna be some reaction around here, and then we push to the upside like so. And another pair, my list it Euro JPY. So you can see here as well, been pushing nicely to the upside, and price came all the way to the downside, and then push, change of trend, now come all the way to these areas, and you see, so it's most likely that price might come to these areas before we push to the upside. So what I'm looking for here, see if it's gonna get some structures like so to these areas, or if we push impulsively here, then I'll be waiting for some retracement to these key areas before push to the upside like so. So every time you have to follow the trend, that is where it's gonna be easy for you. So what is happening on the 4-hour time frame, as you can see, you push, breaking this low, and then come all the way to these areas, and then is these lows here, so we already clear them. So what is gonna be happening actually, we see we're gonna be coming to this area to form some structure before we sell off, or we're gonna be pushing more to the upside like so. So if we do break this high yet, waiting for some confirmation, then take it to the upside like so. So that's it for this one. And my last pair, my overall watch list with New Zealand dollar versus Canadian dollar. So I start off from daily, as you can see here. It's been pushing to the downside. We clear these lows and price push all the way to this area, and then come all the way from here. So what I'm looking for here is to see if we're gonna be continuing pushing to the upside like so. So when you go to 4 hour, as you can see here, so you're waiting for something like this. If clear this high and then you come to the downside like so, and then you push, or as you can see, there's these lows as well, and then there's the structure that is forming here like so, so forming something like this, and then you push to the downside before you continue push to the upside like so. So we'll see how price gonna develop. Let's see. And then from here, I would see if we do break like so, wait for some confirmation here to lower time frame, then you take it to the upside. So we just have to wait for the price to show us here, and then we take it from there. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you learned something from this short breakdown for my watch list. So yeah, I think I'll be seeing you again on next Sunday, but there's gonna be a lot of more content that I'll be sharing as well, beside me breaking down like my watch list. So I'll also be sharing some trade that I was taking, so that I can show you what my overall process. So yeah, if you have any question, you can drop them on the comment below, or you can reach out to me on my Telegram channel or on Instagram. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you.